Hi guys, and welcome back to Movies That Matter with the Viking. And today let's talk about the Snyder cut and the Ayer cut. Now, as you know, that David Ayer's Suicide Squad was chopped up and rechanged and stuff, but he is campaigning for his cut to be released of the film, and he's flirting a good bit with Warner Brothers, with HBO Max, in fact, with AT&T, their social media accounts, and he's answering a lot of questions from fans. He was asked this by a fan: is there anything you would change in your original vision now that you've had a couple of years with it? Or would that be spoilers if you got the opportunity to release your cut? He said, of course, my cut isn't the epitasis of filmmaking, it's simply better than what the public has seen, and yes, it would make sense to update it. So he wants to update his David Ayer Suicide Squad film, he wants to add more things, just like Zack Snyder is doing, but he also thinks it's a better film than we've seen in 2016. Just looking by the first trailer, you can see that for yourself. And he's been replying to more comments about the Suicide Squad. Stephen Weintraub works for Collider. He was talking about the version that we've seen in theaters wasn't the better version, and he thinks it would be the best idea for it to release on HBO Max. And this is what David had to say. This is a good question. My cut would be easy to complete. It would be incredibly cathartic for me. It's exhausting getting your ass kicked for a film that got the Edward Scissorhands treatment. The film I made has never been seen. And look, it hurts him so much what happened to his film. He put so much effort into the script, into making of the film, to make it in line with Batman vs Superman, only for the studio to go and to chop and change and give it the Edward Scissorhands treatment. And it just hurts when he wants to see that film released. The film was shown to Warner Brothers, the original version. The original version was shown in some fan screenings to try and get an idea of the film, how the public would receive it. So that minority has seen it, but the wider public that's probably going to be having HBO Max has not seen it. And David agrees, he wants it on HBO Max, just like Zack Snyder's Justice League is. And I for one, am a big advocate of the Ayer cut as well. I definitely want to see more Joker. I want to see what David Ayer was bringing to the table. Now, here was a disappointed fan asking David why character development would be cut, in particular the Katana and stuff with the Joker and Harley Quinn, and David had this to say: good screenwriting means complete arcs culminating with some kind of closure for each main character. It's not rocket science. When you cut the joists, the building sags. And of course, I love stories, I love character stories, but I'm a big fan of comic book films with character stories, with character development. That's why I'm a big fan of the DCU. I like these more grounded tones and themes that the films have. They have a character, he's going through a struggle. It's not an easy struggle, but he comes out the other side of it. Not perfect, not in the best possible shape, but he still succeeds. He still gets on with his hardships and tries to be the best person he can be, instead of kind of the Marvel tone and Marvel formula where everything is okay at the end of the day. And the DC stories have been more related to real life in terms of how people are treated and how people are manipulated by the world around them and how these different things in their life affect them. So good screenwriting means the arcs come together, they're completed, the character development is completed the whole way through. And I think that's what we would have seen in David Ayer's Suicide Squad, definitely, with characters like the Joker and Harley Quinn. That's something that I'm so interested to see, and I hope someday that we do get to see it for David's sake. This one is the most interesting reply to me. It was in Spanish, of course, and then when you translate it, thanks to Google Translate, because I don't speak Spanish, of course it exists, and it is almost complete, except for some visual effects. So it wouldn't take much for his cut to be completed, for some visual effects. But is he talking about his complete cut, with his complete original version that he showed Warner Brothers, or is this just a cut of the film that he went back and reshot and the scenes that were cut, then he gets to add them into this, or the scenes that were supposed to be longer, he gets to keep them longer? Is he talking about that cut, or is this referring to the cut with parademons and the idea of having Steppenwolf in it? I, for one, I think if David Ayer wants to go back, I think he will want to add parademons, he will want to add Steppenwolf, and it would relate and link well to Zack Snyder's Justice League. But if it doesn't come out before Zack Snyder's Justice League, is there any reason to release this film in that way? Then I'm all for parademons, but is there any? If they can't get Steppenwolf done, I'll be okay with that, because Justice League have already had Kem, or they could look at that as a prequel to Justice League, I don't know. But he says his film wouldn't take that much to complete, and it'll probably be a lot cheaper than Zack Snyder's Justice League. Finish the visual effects and things like that, get a good team behind it, and I'm sure you could make that for maybe 15, 20 million maybe, a little under 30 maybe as well, but I don't think it would cost the money that the Snyder Cut is going to cost. And anyways, just like Warner Bros. Are treating the Snyder Cut as a new project, why can't they treat this as a new project and put the money into it? There is so much of David Ayer's Suicide Squad that we have not seen, that we've only seen glimpses of in trailers, and one of them is Enchantress, who is played by the character June Moon. Her arc was completely cut out, and there was supposed to be a big kind of introduction scene towards her that we only got to see a little bit of in the theatrical version, but that was changed big time as well. And this hasn't just been to Enchantress, this has happened to Joker, it's happened to Deadshot, it's happened to Harley, so there's so much of this film that we haven't seen, and he even revealed more. He even posted this picture of the Joker, of Jared Leto as the Joker. Now if you click into this image, it doesn't look like it's a still from the movie. It looks like this was a picture he took on his phone or whatever on a screen. Looks like he was looking at the screen. Now this could have been from the first time he was editing Suicide Squad back in 2015, 2016, and this could have been just an old image on his phone that he used, but it looks like it was taken from a screen. Maybe he's working on it right now, maybe he's going through what he has, but he did say he doesn't have the cut at home with him. But of course he could be lying because he can get in trouble with Warner Bros. We know Zack Snyder brought a cut of Justice League with him at home and got to finish things in it. So there's a really cool on-scene picture of the Joker, and that scene was completely cut out where I think he lets off grenades or something like that, and the whole side of his face is all kind of blown, not blown off, but there's damage from that explosion. But let's get into some scenes and some arcs that were cut out of the film completely. David Ayer says, Diablo survived originally. Harley and Deadshot hooked up as a couple. This was changed during reshoots. And yeah, if you watch the theatrical version, you can think there is chemistry between the two characters, and I could definitely see them getting together. I said this in later films that they could get together, but in that film they did. And this scene with the Joker and Common, he goes, it's a lawn scene, and Joker intimidated him into killing himself. Wow, how Joker-like is that? How dark is that? How cool that would have been to see Jared Leto putting on an acting masterpiece of getting Common to want to kill himself rather than be killed or be tortured by the Joker and Harley. Of course, in that scene, he was kind of hitting on Harley Quinn in an essence, and Joker did not like that. He said this about Katana. Enchantress takes her over with a tendril, and she attacks the rest of the squad. Now, if you remember back to the very first trailer, I think it is, or maybe it's the second trailer, but Katana, you can see in the trailer, her eyes are kind of being possessed by something. So that means, and that was Enchantress, and then she turns around and tries to attack the whole league. That complete scene was cut out of it. Completely. We did not get to see any of this, and how cool. Katana was such a cool character with such a cool backstory, and we only got to see a little bit of her. A little tiny bit. There was so much more to that character, and she was badass, and people were even talking about seeing her in future films. And man, she looked badass. She looked cool. She was an empowering woman who was not afraid of anyone that was around her. But this would have been cool. She's a very intimidating person, and this would have been cool with Enchantress taking her over and with her skills going up against the whole Suicide Squad. I wonder how that would have fared and what exactly would have happened. He had this to say about Diablo. It was the only battle I won. Decision makers were allergic to Diablo killing his family. Look at my films. Death, guilt, redemption, and emancipation from toxic relationships are themes I explore as a filmmaker. The human soul is beautiful and complex. And this is why I love David Ayer films so much. You watch films like Fury, you watch the darkness, those characters, the internal struggle that was going on. And one of my favourite parts from 2016 Suicide Squad is the dynamic with Diablo. The inner tone, the inner pain that he is going through of what happened with his family and having to live with that guilt and living with it day in and day out. That's why he didn't want to use his powers in the first place. But that's the decision he won over the studio, and I'm surprised that it got to pass. I suppose they were cutting so much out of his film that they had to give him something back. And just imagine how much deeper Deadshot or Harley Quinn or the Joker or Boomerang, how much deeper was their character going to be, or how much was actually cut out of the film. And it's annoying as a fan of David Ayer annoying. I'm a big fan of the 2016 movie, but I'm sure the one that I didn't get to see, that we didn't get to see, is much, much better. Harley Quinn and the Joker and Deadshot hooking up, that makes sense for me. The chemistry was there between the two of them. Of course, Margot Robbie and Will Smith have good chemistry anyway. They've done other films before, and then that Joker scene could have been iconic. It could have been a real Joker scene. It could have been up there, one of the best Joker scenes of all time, for all we know. I'm sure Jared Leto gave an unbelievable performance as the Joker. He's an Oscar-winning actor, for God's sakes. And Katana, those scenes, I'm very annoyed that they were cut out. How much more that we haven't seen? How much more was cut out of this probably brilliant film? Now let's get on to the Snyder Cut. Ray Porter, of course, who was playing Darkseid in Zack Snyder's Justice League, finally confirmed this news. He goes, "That said, and because I've been given permission, hi, I'm Ray. I played Darkseid in Zack Snyder's Justice League. There, it's out now." So, he's kind of hinted at it in the past. We've known for so long that he plays Darkseid in Zack Snyder's Justice League, but this is him officially confirming it with fans, officially saying it on Twitter, and I'm sure that's a bit off his chest. But I can't wait to see Darkseid in Zack Snyder's Justice League in whatever capacity he is in. If you listen to Ray Porter's interviews, listen to his voice, he has an amazing, compelling voice that gets you attracted to him straight away. So I'm sure in Zack Snyder's Justice League, the very same happens. He's been doing a couple of interviews now with different people on YouTube, and he said that he's looking forward to playing Darkseid, and he's looking forward to everyone seeing it, and he would definitely come back and play Darkseid in the future. He'd do anything to work with Zack Snyder again. Everyone has such a good thing to say about Zack Snyder. He must be a very good man to work with, a very respectful man, and just a good friend to be around, I'd say. So Darkseid is Ray Porter. Ray Porter is Darkseid, and we will get to see him in 2021 in Zack Snyder's Justice League. And maybe, just maybe, when this trailer for Zack Snyder's Justice League drops, we might get to see a little bit of Darkseid or his voice. Now, I'm very interested in see how Zack kind of puts the trailer together, how it's going to be released. I want to see, there's so much of this film that we haven't seen, but there's a lot of this film that we know about as well. So I want to see how Zack kind of keeps the surprises and stuff like that. I'd be okay with seeing a trailer that doesn't show too much. Seeing stuff that we've already seen in stills and pictures that he's released, I'd be okay with that. I'd like to see everything else in 2021, of course. Now, Zack Snyder having some fun on Twitter. He doesn't post that much, but Harry Lennox, of course, was talking about the Justice League being announced, and of course he's going to be playing Martian Manhunter, and Zack had some fun. He goes, "Harry is awesome." So we're definitely going to see Harry Lennox come back for additional photography to shoot his scenes that Zack didn't get the chance to shoot, of him turning into Martian Manhunter, of him exposing himself as Martian Manhunter to the fans, and that's going to be cool. Harry Lennox is a cool actor. He's a very good actor. Loved him in Man of Steel, liked him in Batman vs Superman. Was disappointed that I didn't get to see him in 2017's Justice League, but we're going to see him in 2021, and this is good news. And with Zack saying Harry is awesome, I think we can take this as a guarantee that he plans on bringing him back to shoot those Martian Manhunter scenes. One of my favourite parts of Batman vs Superman was the portrayal of Lex Luthor by Jesse Eisenberg, and he did an interview recently with Digital Spy, and this is what he said about the Snyder Cut news. "So happy for his friend Snyder. Very, very Pacific vision. I spoke to Zack a couple of weeks ago and he told me about it. Yeah, I'm excited because I'm friends with Zack. I'm so happy for him that he gets to release something he's proud of." And Jesse Eisenberg, for me, was a great Lex Luthor. You see all the bullshit about him. He should have been the Riddler. He should have been the Joker. Oh, he was playing this. He was playing that. Man, Jesse Eisenberg is one of the best actors in the world. He really, really is. I'd watch anything with him in it. He already elevates that film if he is in it. And he's excited. He can't wait for Zack to get his film out there. Now, we know Jesse went back for reshoots with Joss Whedon, and the real post-credit scene is coming, and Deathstroke himself said this. Joe Manganiello, I always get his name messed up, but he said the real post-credit scene is on its way, and maybe there's more than what we have seen in 2017. Maybe there was more Lex Luthor scenes in the actual film. It's going to be interesting. Of course, Jesse doesn't watch his own movies, but he can't wait. He's excited, and this very Pacific vision of these characters, of this story, is something to look forward to in 2021. And Lex Luthor has spoken, and I hope Jesse gets to play the character again in the future. I really, really do. Now, a very important man who is probably critical to Zack Snyder's Justice League being released. The chairman, Bob Greenblatt, had this to say on a podcast. It's been months of discussions with Zack and the producers to figure out how to do it, because it isn't as easy as just going into the vault and there's a Snyder Cut sitting there to put out. It does not exist. Zack is actually building it, and it's complex, including, and I don't want to get into too much detail that we haven't already talked about yet, but new effects, shots. It's a radical rethinking of that movie, and it's complicated and wildly expensive. Of course, a number I won't quote, I'll just say I wish it was just 30 million. It's an enormous undertaking and very complex. So it looks like they're not just releasing Zack Snyder's Justice League as it is and adding the scenes it would have needed to put it into a theatrical release. It looks like to me from these comments that they're adding more to this actual story. And maybe this is to set up a Justice League 2, a Justice League 3, or spin-offs projects for HBO Max, maybe. And especially, I've said this, if it's going to be in episodic form, it will need to be more. There will need to be more additional photography, not just the ones Zack wrote on that board, but more to make it into a series. Because if it's going to be a 6-part, a 7-part, 8-part series, it needs cliffhangers, it needs character development, it needs maybe bigger action scenes, better action scenes, who knows. But it will need to be worked on if it's going to be in a series. If it's just a movie, I don't think it costs that much to add scenes into it to polish it up a little bit more. But I think the reason we're hearing this and the way that Bob speaks about this, it's very detailed, and the effects, and it's a rethinking of the project, a rethinking of the movie. Then to me that looks like that they aren't just making a movie, they're making a series, and they're setting it up for future seasons, a Justice League 2 and a Justice League 3, the full vision of Zack Snyder's Justice League. And how amazing would that be? He said, I wish it was just 30 million. So it's going to be more than 30 million to rebuild this film, to redo this film. It's like it's being taken as a completely new film. It's not just Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's like it's being a film built up from scratch, even though there's already scenes made and effects finished. So I find this very interesting from Bob. He had more to say. We had to go to the unions and get certain things clear with them about what we were doing. Is the Snyder Cut a new movie, or is it a recut? There are lots of complexity that the fan community doesn't know about. And I said this before as well. I said, is it going to be treated as a completely new movie? Is this going to be an extra movie added on to contract? So say someone like Jason Momoa, if they have a 5-picture deal, does this count as one? So that means he's done Aquaman, he's done Justice League, and he's doing Zack Snyder's Justice League. Is that 3 or is that 2? I think there's a lot of things like that. I think there's a lot of things with royalties as well. What money can be made out of this film when it's released? Do they get another paycheck? How much money do they get for coming back to shoot additional photography? Or how much money do they get for this film being put out in theatre, being put out in the public? Again, so I thought there was a lot of complexities, as he said, a lot of complications that could have happened with this cut that was more than just releasing it the way it was, or releasing it and adding a few scenes. Of course, there's so many people involved with a movie, so many people, not just the actors, not just the director, but the crew, people who do the effects, the sound, everything. So that all had to be reevaluated, negotiated through contracts. So that's why I think it's taken so long. He says that discussions about this began in the fall of 2019 and took so long that they finally hammered out all the details within the past week, and they put out the news as quickly as possible. He said, we were trying very hard to be able to announce it before the launch of HBO Max, because we knew it would be very well received. He said this, but this was evidently not a project that had been sitting on as a last minute announcement to boost the streamer's profile in the days before the launch. And yes, it wasn't just a last gasp thing that was done because of the coronavirus. This has been going on in 2019. Discussions happened in 2019. Zack showed them the film in February. We had, of course, the the Memorial Day of November 17th, 2019, the 2-year anniversary of the film, where we trended worldwide with over 1 million tweets or whatever that was, and that hit it big with them. That really did. It really caught their attention and led to discussions and then meeting with Zack and seeing how much this would cost and how they would release it. And of course, they wanted to get it out and the announcement out there before HBO Max launched to create hype, so to get people interested in the platform, to get people to subscribe to the platform domestically and see how it goes. So the film is coming, and will there be a trailer tomorrow? I don't know. I hope there will be a trailer tomorrow or some sort of thing for us fans, but if there's not, I'll still be okay. The film is coming in 2021 regardless. So, look, it's a big team for Warner Brothers, big team for HBO Max. They're taking this seriously. They're 100% behind it. They're putting the money into it, as it sounds, and they're ready to reap the rewards. And look, the fans, the communities, the movement is grateful and thankful, and we'll do everything that we can to support this film and just show our love back to the people who listened to us and showed love towards us. Of course, they're getting money out of it at the end of the day. That's why they're doing it. But of course, we are fans. We're putting that hard-earned money into this project, into seeing it, and they are getting that money. So they might as well give the fans what they want. And down the line, this will work for them in the long run. The fans will be more open to things that they do and more respectful. And it feels like then they are listening to their fan base. Another thing I want to talk about is Robert Pattinson's Batman. These bullshit reports that the Batman is going to be cancelled and Robert Pattinson has stepped down as the Dark Knight, and just because Ben Affleck is back as Batman in 2021 and will be the Batman again in some sense. Look, Robert Pattinson is the Batman in 2021. His film will come out with Matt Reeves. This film isn't going to be cancelled because the Snyder Cut is coming. No way. There will be a Batman on the big screen with Robert Pattinson, and there will be a Batman on the small screen with Ben Affleck. Two massive roles, two massive films that I absolutely cannot wait for. Just because one's on big screen and one's on a platform doesn't make it any less important than the other. But the people who say that Robert Pattinson is going to be pushed out by Warner Bros. Now because Ben Affleck's back, bullshit. Ben Affleck is nearly 50 years of age, and of course Ben Affleck can be Batman for as long as you want, and I hope that he stays on to be Batman. I hope he does Justice League 2, Justice League 3. I hope he does a Batman spin-off of some sense on HBO Max, but there's no way in any form that Robert Pattinson is going to step down. Fans aren't stupid. They can see the difference that there's a Batman on screen, a Batman on the platform, and they'll enjoy both. Like, come on, look how many incarnations they are of Superman, of Supergirl, all these things on the CW and then the big screen. Look, it's all just bullshit reports. Robert Pattinson is the Batman in 2021, along with Ben Affleck. I can't wait for the both films, and the both of them are going to kick it out of the park. Absolutely brilliant. Robert Pattinson is a great actor, and Ben Affleck is a great Batman. Bring it on. Now, the day that HBO Max was supposed to launch was the day we were supposed to kick up and have a big voice and get hashtag Zack Snyder's Justice League trending or hashtag release Snyder Cut trending and get Warner Brothers' attention. But now that they have announced the Snyder Cut, and we are so happy over this, we have organised that the 27th will now be a thank you day to HBO Max. So due to the exciting news, we are thrilled to announce 5/27 will now become a thank you HBO Max event. On 5/27, let HBO Max and AT&T know how thankful we are for hearing our voices. Post your favourite Zack Snyder Justice League related content and tag HBO Max and AT&T. Also, please consider donating to our 5/27 AFSP campaign currently underway. And of course, definitely donate if you can. And yeah, this should be a day of thank you. I know a lot of people are saying that we should campaign for hashtag release the Ayer cut on this day. I think personally that's a bad idea. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think it should be a day for HBO Max to have their day. It's a day that they're trying to launch a platform and trying to be a big entity in the streaming wars. So I think we should let them have their day. They've given us what we wanted, and that is Zack Snyder's Justice League. That's coming in 2021. So we should be respectful of their day of trying to get attention on their platform, get a marketing campaign going, even for things like Zack Snyder's Justice League. So we should be respectful, and we should definitely thank them. We have cried out for it over the last 2.5 years. We've fought hard. We've had so many campaigns. We've donated so much to charity. We've done so much good, and Warner Brothers and AT&T and HBO Max had given it back to us. So the best thing we can do is to say thank you, and I'm sure they would greatly appreciate that. And of course, help AFSP also if you can. It all sounds very good to me, and I'm looking forward to the future. You never know. The release the Ayer cut may be announced very soon. A lot of reports that it could be. A lot of reports about Ben Affleck's Batman and more things there. And just so many reports now at the minute, so many rumours. It's hard to know what's true, what's not true. But all I know is that Zack Snyder's Justice League is coming in 2021, and if that is possible, then anything is possible. Thanks guys for listening, and come and follow me on Twitter at MovieBuff100. Come and follow me on Instagram at Movies That Matter, The Viking. You'll also find me on Facebook at Zack Snyder's Justice League. Come engage, talk about movies, just have some fun with me. That's what we love doing. We love movies, we love talking about them. Until next time guys, stay positive.